We have said it before. We will say it again. The Arizona Diamondbacks are a wagon. Welcome into the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of Easter. This guy next to me, he's the Thunderstick. We're not together in the same room, so that kind of bothers me, but he's still my vice mayor. It's Jesse Friedman.
Derek, you pointed the wrong way.
I know. I don't know which way you are.
Yeah, we haven't done this in so long. You don't have the directions straight anymore.
You're over there. Yeah, I'm in the wrong box, but you know who's not in the wrong box? The Arizona Diamondbacks offense, baby. They are in the batter's box and they are raking, as the kids say. Welcome in to the PHNX D-backs podcast. We are very excited about what has happened, and I'm sure you guys are too. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Hit that like button when you're here. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Jesse Friedman, what did we see in this series from the Arizona Diamondbacks against the Dodgers? Is this real?
Yeah, I mean, what we saw over the last two games is 23 runs on 33 hits, if I'm not mistaken. We've seen the Arizona Diamondbacks have basically made the Los Angeles Dodgers pitching staff look like Dustin May, Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, and a bunch of scrubs is basically what the Diamondbacks offense did to that group throughout this series, because no one else really pitched particularly well for them. But yeah, I mean, just crazy. The Arizona Diamondbacks take 3 out of 4 this weekend. They're 6-4. Which I didn't even have 6-4 on the table, Derek. I'm going to be honest. When we talked about the Diamondbacks having 10 games to start the season, 8 of them against the Dodgers, 2 of them against the Padres, we were talking about 5-5 being an ideal outcome, right?
Being a success.
If you get to 5-5, you just absolutely killed that beginning part of the season. The Diamondbacks come away 6-4. It's really, really crazy.
And they put themselves in position there to potentially have been 7-3, right? One of those losses you could definitely say was it was in their grasp. The win was in their grasp, and they just lost it there against the Padres in the 9th inning. But that game was very winnable as well, and I mean, we can't really attack the bullpen for what they've done considering how good they've been, but is the offense back, Jesse? Is the offense legitimately back? Because I feel like the offense is back.
I think so. I think it's safe to say that at this point. Looking up and down the box score, somehow we went from, it felt like every Diamondbacks hitter hitting like $130 through the first few games of the season to now you look through and Josh Rojas is hitting .417, Geraldo Perdomo is hitting .438, Pavin Smith, who came up and much to the chagrin of many Diamondbacks fans was hitting 3rd in the lineup today, which I thought was hilarious.
Much to the chagrin of us on Twitter, Jesse, we questioned this lineup today, only for this lineup to question us back, right? And I'm glad they did. But Pavin Smith being recalled from Reno and starting in today's game due to Kyle Lewis being placed on the 10-day IL due to illness was a bit unexpected. But what was more unexpected was Pavin Smith hitting 3rd in the lineup, I think. And that's what not only we were not too sure about, nor were a lot of people that follow us on Twitter, but Pavin goes 2 for 4, 2 doubles, 2 runs scored, 3 RBI and a walk, proving us all wrong and just having an excellent day in his return to the major league roster.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Pavin hitting 3rd. I mean, I think people were up in arms about Nick Ahmed, being, I guess, in the lineup against a righty. He goes out there and has 2 hits in this game. Jose Herrera, the guy who had 2 hits in the entire Cactus League, had 2 hits in this game and is batting
equaled that total today
as of right now for the Diamondbacks. So he had a pretty good game as well. Things are just kind of coming together offensively, and we figured that what happened over those first few games wasn't going to stay that way. The D-backs offense really came out really slow. But these last few games, you really couldn't ask for anything more.
I'm wearing my In Torrey We Trust shirt, Jesse, and that is in admittance to us being wrong about his lineup. But yeah, Perdomo playing 2nd, no Marte. This early in the season against the Dodgers team that Marte, quite frankly, was heating up in this series and had a great night Saturday against this Dodgers team. Another game that this team won. And I mean, it really feels like the offensive explosion from Saturday carried over to Sunday. They had big innings in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th today that just put the game completely out of reach for the Dodgers. They scored 12 runs against the Dodgers on Saturday, and I just don't know what's happening, but I love everything about this. According to D-backs facts, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 134-0 when scoring 12 runs or more, and they were this close to making that 135-0 on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, when you score 12 runs, I guess you got a pretty good chance to win the game.
Got a pretty good chance, yeah.
Makes sense. I am a little surprised that like some bonkers Coors Field game, they didn't lose a game like 15-13 or something at some point.
Or some game
they were impressive.
Some game they were down 20-8, and then they were still able to eke out a couple more runs because the opposing team did much like the Diamondbacks did today, late in this game when the game was kind of out of reach, and they put Peter Solomon in relief, who wasn't very good, but still got some time in and honestly saved the rest of the bullpen some time today. Like, I think that was the purpose of calling Solomon up. Carlos Vargas, meanwhile, very good. Also very good, Ryan Nelson for this team, who had a rough first inning, but he got out of a bases loaded jam, only allowing 1 run. He gives up 3 earned runs total, but really the true story was how he got better and stronger as the outing went on. And that's something we've seen out of Ryan Nelson during spring. Today was just impressive against the Dodgers lineup that at one point he sat down, Jesse, 11 in a row.
It was impressive. It really was. Ryan Nelson somehow just threw the first quality start by any Diamondbacks pitcher in 2023. We've only had one pitcher go 6 innings to this point. That was Zach Gallen, who went 6 innings but gave up 4 runs. So Ryan Nelson, 6 innings, 3 runs today. I'll be honest, Derek, I didn't think he was all that sharp at the end of the day. He only got a few swing and misses. He threw about 70%.
3 strikeouts.
Yeah, 3 strikeouts. I didn't think his stuff was super sharp. The velo was still a little bit lower than what we saw from him last year. But yeah, I mean, anytime you're going 6 innings, 3 runs against the Dodgers, even if you don't have your best stuff, and even if we want to see maybe better things later on from Ryan Nelson, it's a pretty good outing from him.
And you're not going to get out of the first inning like that, like he did quite often without getting nicked up, as Torey Lovullo would say, a bit more, right? But I don't care, man. Ryan Nelson, I think what we're looking for, especially at this point, some quality starting pitching, which the Diamondbacks have not really been able to find out of anybody except Zach Davies, known Arizona Diamondbacks ace, who came down.
Well, he wasn't. He didn't look quite up to his ace status yesterday before going down with the injury.
But he did leave the game with a strained left oblique, which is unfortunate because the Diamondbacks now. I guess it's unfortunate, but the depth that this team has that we've talked about, the guys that have been sent down that we have been kind of lamenting a bit about them not getting an opportunity, might get those opportunities sooner than we thought, especially with Zach Davies now potentially missing some significant time. Torey Lovullo announced that Drey Jameson will replace Davies in the starting rotation.
No surprises there. Honestly, kind of funny how this worked out. We literally were talking with Torey about Drey Jameson pregame yesterday about what's going on here. We've noticed that his outings have gotten shorter, not longer. We've noticed that he went from being on 3 days rest to 2 days rest. Things were kind of trending in the direction of turning Drey Jameson into a shorter reliever than what we saw in those first few games when he was really stretched out. So the question came up in pregame, like, what is your guys' plan here? Could Drey Jameson still realistically enter the rotation? And Torey Lovullo said pregame yesterday, if a guy gets hurt, we still feel like we're within a window where we could convert Drey Jameson back to a starter. And sure enough, Zach Davies strains his oblique. And here we are talking about Drey Jameson re-entering the Diamondbacks starting rotation. I know there are a variety of viewpoints on this. I know a lot of people, of course, wanted to see Brandon Pfaadt get the call up, which I can certainly understand. Some people might have even preferred Tommy Henry to get called up just so that you could keep Drey Jameson in the bullpen, where he's really been a weapon for this Diamondbacks team so far. But ultimately, no surprises that they just decided to take Jameson from the bullpen and convert him to a starter.
But now that's the big question, Jesse. What do we do without Drey Jameson in the bullpen, because honestly, he's been really damn good. And I don't know really what this team is going to do in some of these outings where, you know, the starter is only able to go 4 innings without him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Derek. That was a pretty big concern for me, and I wonder if it's a concern for the Diamondbacks as well. This bullpen has looked improved, right? It had a pretty decent in this series outside of Peter Solomon kind of scuffling there at the end of this game. But yeah, I mean, Drey Jameson has played a really big part in all 3 games that he's pitched in. The Diamondbacks have won all 3 games that Drey Jameson has pitched in. And, you know, he's pitched multiple innings in all of them, and they've been pretty darn good innings on top of that. So I don't know what this is going to look like for the D-backs without Jameson back there. You know, Peter Solomon didn't have his best stuff today, but even at his best, I don't think you're expecting Peter Solomon to be able to step into high leverage situations like you were with Drey Jameson.
These 2 wins, though, Jesse, you were there on Saturday night. What were your big takeaways from what they did to the Dodgers on Saturday night? Like, it's just the 23 runs that they have scored in these 2 games is just something that we did not expect to see. We talked about what this team could do if they could get their offense back on track. Boy, did they. And it happened really, really fast.
Yeah, I mean, Alek Thomas went from a batting average of 0-0-0 to 200 in one game, right? A 4 for 4. That'll up your batting average a few points in and of itself. That was great to see.
And his defense was incredible too, right? He saved a couple of runs early on. I mean, this game, even though the Diamondbacks scored 12 and won, this game was pretty close. So, I mean, you could even say that a bit about Sunday's game. Like, it's not like they blew them out of the water. The Dodgers found a way to score runs and make it closer. Really, it's just the case of like, this kind of looks like the amount of offensive output the Dodgers would have made, and the Diamondbacks would have scored something more like 2 runs or 1 run like we've seen so far this series. It's really the fact that they're outgunning the Dodgers 12-8 and 11-6.
I mean, the D-backs, they've got this knack for the comeback thing right now, right? If I'm not mistaken, I believe really all 6 wins the Diamondbacks have this year have been comeback wins. Yesterday, I know the D-backs wound up winning that game by 4 runs, and it didn't feel super close by the end. D-backs were down 4-0 going to the bottom of the first inning, which is a real gut punch for your dugout. You know, your position players out there on the field just watching the Dodgers do what they often do, which is, you know, put up some big runs right out of the gate. And they did that yesterday against Zach Davies with the 4 spot. So I mean, the D-backs were able to overcome that. They got a run back right away in the bottom of the first. Geraldo Perdomo, a big 2-run homer in the bottom of the second, cut the lead to 4-3. And from then on, Derek, this offense just was completely unlocked. I don't know what exactly happened inside of Chase Field or inside of the Diamondbacks dugout, but it has been crazy what the Diamondbacks have done these last couple games.
Yeah, and me and Giselle both said it was electric at the exact same time, I believe. But yes, the environment was electric. Let's be honest. If you've been out there at Chase Field, if you've heard it on TV, I don't know if it's come across because in some cases, some of those Dodgers fans can be very vocal on television, but it's sounding like the tide is turning. It's sounding like the Diamondbacks are getting their home field advantage back a little bit, right? And I mean, it's really great to hear, especially against a team like the Dodgers, considering that the Dodgers pretty much are the Diamondbacks' #1 foe when it comes to opposing fans filling up Chase Field and kind of taking over, right? That's something that had to make the Diamondbacks feel great, but more than anything, it has to make them feel now like they can beat anybody. We could sit here and take apart the Diamondbacks or the Dodgers starting pitching. The Dodgers do not have their best starting pitching. This is not the Dodgers at their best, and that is something that remains to be seen. However, we won't see it until August. So there's a lot of time for the Diamondbacks to build off of this confidence, to just feel, you know, like have that mental feeling that we beat the Dodgers and we whooped that ass, right? Like we didn't just narrowly get by like the games in Los Angeles. We actually put it to them at home in front of our fans. And that's just got to be something that is wonderful for Torey Lovullo to build on going forward, and to remind his guys of that they can beat anybody at any time on any given day, and not just eke by, not just get by in a win where they had to do it by stealing bases and getting those extra bases here and there wherever they could. They did it with a pretty powerful offensive output that still had no home runs, not a single home run hit by the Diamondbacks today, with an 11-6 win.
Yeah. I feel like for the Diamondbacks, just in these last few years, like beating the Dodgers has almost been a rite of passage to like,
yes,
oh wow,
yes.
we're a good team. Like, hey,
we did it.
We're not bad, right? Because last year the Diamondbacks won.
You're totally right.
The Diamondbacks literally won 5 games against the Dodgers all of last season. They were 5-14. This year they're already 5-3, right? They've already won as many games against the Dodgers after 10 days of the season as they did all of last year. And if you look in past years when the Diamondbacks haven't been good, they tend to get trounced by the Dodgers. And I want to say it was 2017, the last year the Diamondbacks made the playoffs, that they had a stretch of games where they just kind of owned the Dodgers, and the Dodgers were like kind of sick and tired of playing the Diamondbacks at a certain point. I want to say it was 17, might have been early 18, but around the time when the D-backs were really good, they've actually had some success against this Dodgers team. And yeah, I mean, I heard them talking about it on the broadcast today, that apparently Dave Roberts, after that game yesterday, sort of tipped his cap to the Diamondbacks and was like, this doesn't happen to us very often. Like, we're not used to this kind of a thing. And sure enough, this was the first time the Diamondbacks have taken 3 out of 4 from the Dodgers since 2019. It's been a long time since that's happened.
Man, and again, literally, I think it is 1 day less than 4 months until we have to see this team again, Jesse. 4 months of baseball without having to play the Dodgers again. They catch the Padres.
You mean Freddie Freeman doesn't get to hit in Chase Field for 4
months? Oh, nope. And that's a great thing. But another great thing, Jesse, they are not 1 game, but they are now, is it 2 games? Is it 2 games over 500? Is that how it works? Can we climb Mount 500? Can we get to the summit of Mount 500 there, Damon? Do we have a little Cattell ready to go? No. That's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I love it so much. All right. But Cattell, definitely not our king snake in this series, because it is, of course, our risk king, known for carrying the offense when the offense can't carry itself. The one and only Geraldo Perdomo. Yes, Bam, you said Perdomo is Barry Bonds. He's absolutely Barry Bonds, hitting 400 in this series with a home run, just 4s across the board, 4 RBI, 4 runs scored. Just great contributions for Perdomo. Lovullo's already moved him up significantly, hitting 2nd in the lineup today, which was pretty nice to see. And honestly, again, this is the reason why I'm rocking the In Torey We Trust shirt, because even though we doubted his moves today, having Perdomo play 2nd and hit 2nd worked out for this team.
It was a bold move by Torey. I mean, I have loved what I've seen from Geraldo Perdomo so far this season. I talked with Torey about that yesterday, just what he's seen from Perdomo and how incredible he's been, especially in clutch situations so far this year. But I mean, hitting him 2nd, like, I mean, this guy had a 500 OPS last year, right? Like that's pretty bold to move Perdomo that high up in the lineup. And he comes through. He's 2 for 5, has a couple big hits. He comes through with runners in scoring position, which it feels like he basically always does. And yeah, I mean, I think after last year, it's easy to forget the prospect that Geraldo Perdomo was. The fact that the Diamondbacks were willing to trade Jazz Chisholm because they believed in Perdomo and what he could be, not only defensively but offensively. And the kid's still 23 years old, Derek. He's still 23 years old. There's still some ceiling to explore here.
Yeah, and that could be said about this entire team. The one thing I loved, especially today, was the aggressive base running, even when it didn't work out for them. Lovullo did not relent. He continued to send guys. He continued to move guys. And even if the Dodgers got, Corbin Carroll trying to extend a single into a double, they still scored runs, and they still proceeded to put that pressure on the Dodgers throughout the rest of the game. And that was big, because the Dodgers just to be honest, we've talked about the Diamondbacks looking overmatched, and they've looked overmatched against the Dodgers. They've looked overmatched on both opening days, both here and in LA. And maybe that's just the bright lights. Maybe that's just the situation. But when it comes down to playing baseball, the fact is in the last 2 games, the Dodgers have been the ones that have looked quite overmatched for the Diamondbacks. And a big part of that is the running game and that pressure that they're applying.
I think people love it, man. I mean, it's one thing to like hit.
Fucking love it.
It's one thing to hit more homers than the Dodgers, right?
Right.
It's an entirely other thing to go 11 for 11 in stolen bases against them over the last 5 games, which I believe is exactly what the Diamondbacks have done. Like, that's just an insane level of ownership. And I'm sure the Dodgers right now are incredibly frustrated because they're like, Corbin Carroll's too fast. Right, like, and apparently Jose Herrera is too fast too, because that also happened today.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, double steals have worked out pretty well for the D-backs so far, also. But yeah, the D-backs are running circles around this Dodgers team, have run circles around this Dodgers team so far this season, and that brand of baseball, the way the Diamondbacks have won some of these games, is just a lot of fun to watch.
Chief Crazy Buffalo said only 10 games and I love the score. And I think that is it, man. I really do. Like, we didn't know what the core was going to be. We had a good idea of it. We don't know how successful guys are going to be. We saw Alek Thomas get sent down last season at the end of last season. We saw him struggle early this season, but look at how, he's exploded in this series and just not, it's again, he even had a play that he almost made against JD Martinez that he was so close to making. And honestly, like, it's just stupid to play that outfield underneath that, like, that overhang and to try to catch a ball going in there. Like, he looked like he totally could have gotten it too, but it's very difficult to adjust and have an idea where that trajectory is going to go sometimes with that overhang out there. But I mean, he's just looked great. He's been great defensively, and that game on Saturday just really made me believe that, Alek Thomas is going to put it back together, and he's going to be pretty consistent. And I mean, he might just have a couple of nights where he goes 0-4, but 4 for 4 versus the Dodgers is a nice, like, wake up performance. And like you said, gets to 200 basically in one day.
Do we have Alek Thomas's baseball savant page?
We do have Alek Thomas's baseball savant. Oh my God.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So I tweeted out Alek Thomas' page yesterday. Yeah. Oh, it's pretty good. I tweeted out a screenshot of it yesterday before he had the 4-hit game, talking about, all right, you guys want to keep an eye on Alek Thomas here because he's 0 for 16. And also he's got a whole lot of red on his baseball savant page. This is what it looks like now after the 4-hit game. He made a ton of hard contact in that game. So you can see he's in the 95th percentile in average exit velocity. He is struck out once, I believe, this season. So he is in the 100th percentile in strikeout rate. He's drawn some walks. The sprint speed, of course, is always going to be there for him. I believe his expected batting average, Derek, I want to say is 392. I don't have it in front of me. That was coming into the game today. Ironically, his outs above average is actually in the 11th percentile. So way too early to really even read a number like that. But apparently baseball savant doesn't like Alek Thomas's defense right now. But yeah, that's going to come up over time. And as you can see with the rest of this, Thomas was kind of destined, to start having some balls fall. And I like what I've seen from him so far offensively.
That barrel percentage, though, Jesse, what is going on with that? My goodness.
So people don't understand what barrel percentage is. A barrel is a very specific type of batted ball that doesn't happen very often. It's kind of like the ideal batted ball. It has like some numerical stuff attached to the official meaning of it. But basically, they don't happen very often. The league average barrel rate is about 4.6%. So you're only going to get one about once every 22 plate appearances or so. And so when you got a guy who only has like 25 plate appearances, you're not really that alarmed that he doesn't have a barrel.
Doesn't have a barrel yet. Okay.
Yeah, he could literally have
for breaking that down for us.
He could have like 2 in the next 5 games, and suddenly that percentile would jump up to probably well above average. It's the kind of thing that changes very quickly.
Well, speaking of well above average, the Arizona Diamondbacks are coming into this game. We're tied for second in the majors with the Royals and the Mets for defensive runs saved. So we talked about last year, our short king that is no longer with us, Dalton Varsho. He's still alive. He just is no longer with us. And of course, you know what Christian Walker does over there at first base made the Diamondbacks very, very dense in defensive runs saved last year. But it seems like this team is still remaining as defensively sound as they were last season. So that's a very good sign. And with these bats waking up, that's a very good sign. And it's a very good time for you to maybe place a bet on the Arizona Diamondbacks over at BetMGM. I know I've been doing that. And of course, I think Christian Walker is due in this series against the Milwaukee Brewers. So maybe let's throw some money on him hitting a home run. Of course, we've talked about the wonderful events we're doing out there at BetMGM Sportsbook. You can join us out at State Farm Stadium. We have so much more to come, including a monthly cornhole league that I can't wait to get involved with. I've been practicing my tosses, getting bean bags that are illegal in size, just so I can do anything I can to win. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. You guys should know that by now about me. If you haven't signed up though over at BetMGM, you can use our promo code of PHNX and you will get up to $200 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code PHNX. Place a pregame moneyline wager in the amount of at least $10 on any market at standard odds price, and you will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. And that's how it works. You just have to, no matter what happens with your bet, regardless of the outcome of your wager, just make sure you use bonus code PHNX when you sign up. And I think we have Shane here to talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan. Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Did we
Shane doesn't get a day off.
Did we play him twice? He was talking for an awfully long time.
That was a long time. That was a long disclaimer. Possibly. I was gonna say, I think that's longer than normal. Also, Shane doesn't get a day off. He really doesn't. He never gets a day off.
He doesn't.
This poor guy.
Yeah, it's not a recording. It is Shane reporting to the office. You know, sometimes it's early in the morning. Single time. Sometimes it's late at night. Yeah, he just comes in and does it, and then he gets out of there. So anyway.
Well, if you haven't done so already, in order to support Shane and his non-days off, Mr. No Days Off, Shane Diefenbach, make sure to sign up for a Diehards membership over at gophnx.com. Not only do you get access to Shane being able to read you disclaimers whenever you want, not like that's 24/7. You can literally call him on his cell phone as a diehard member and he'll read you that disclaimer over the phone. But you also get access to Jesse's newsletter, Full Count. You also get access to our wonderful free merchandise. You'll get a free piece of merchandise from the phnxlocker.com every single year you're a member. You'll also get 20% off all future purchases. You will get access to our members only Discord, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. You also get access to our partners discounts and so much more. Members only merch, members only invites to events, and so much more. So join us today over at gophnx.com and become part of the PHNX family. We want to dig into these numbers. We can't get enough, by the way, of these numbers. By the way, if you're here right now in the YouTube channel, make sure to leave us a thumbs up. That's all we live for. We don't do this for the money or the glory or the support of the baseball team. We do this for the likes on YouTube. So smash that like button. Jesse and I want to dig into these numbers because these are good numbers. These are the kind of numbers you don't want to avoid. When you have this many numbers, when you have that much stuff, look, dude, is that right, Jesse? Did we get that wrong? Are these correct? Is those numbers up by the Diamondbacks? Are those like real? 31 runs, 48 hits, and 1 error. Is that right?
That's insane. A 388 batting average with
388 batting position. Average.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Diamondbacks were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position in the home opener. So if I'm doing my math correctly, I believe they've gone 19 for 41 with runners in scoring position over the last 3 games. I don't know if that's sustainable, Derek. I don't know if you can hit almost 500 with runners in scoring position for very long. But I think people are enjoying watching what they've seen so far.
One thing I love to see up here, Jesse, is all the numbers being better on the Diamondback side. Once they got into that relief pitching, they really tore up the Dodgers bullpen. That was something that was impressive. The one thing I love up here, though, the stolen bases, 8-0. Like, the Diamondbacks are just making stuff happen on the base path, and the Dodgers are just not. They're just kind of sitting back and hoping their bats wake up and hoping that they can hit some dingers and get some good contact. But the Diamondbacks they just made stuff happen in this series. And I really love that about them and the way that this team is made up.
I mean, it's one of those things where when you look at like the D-backs team / line or how many homers they have or some of those basic offensive stats, it's never going to quite do them justice. Because they are, I believe they lead the league in stolen bases right now.
They
the
do.
Diamondbacks and Orioles
just asked that. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe they do after today. They were kind of neck and neck with the Orioles, but I think they took the lead. So given that and the fact that it's not like they're getting caught a bunch, right? It'd be one thing if you had 17 stolen bases or whatever the number is, and you've been caught 6 times or something. That's not what's happening. The Diamondbacks they haven't been caught at all by the Dodgers, at least over these last 5 games. I don't recall them being caught at all in any game against the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken, through the season so far. So, yeah, I mean, you have to factor that in, right? I mean, like 11 extra bases over these last 5 games, that adds up. And it makes it so that your normal offensive stats don't nearly do justice to the damage that you're actually able to do when you factor all of those things in.
And here's the thing. I really dig the fact that the Diamondbacks were able to kind of be hit in the mouth a bit in the series in LA, and obviously get the wins that they got there, but then come back here and not be overwhelmed by the idea of the Dodgers. Like they really were up for the challenge. And it's not like they haven't suffered their share of losses either. Zach Davies goes down in the middle of the game, and luckily they have the resources. They had the people in place to come back into that game and save that outing. And the Diamondbacks, are able on this day, they're able to score one of the biggest runs, most runs by a D-backs team without a homer being scored, right? So it's like they have, it's transitioned over into them just hitting. It's just them, getting on base in some way, knowing that they're going to make stuff happen. I feel like any Jake McCarthy or Corbin Carroll hit is in danger of becoming a double. Even Josh Rojas.
It feels like it is. It feels like Josh Rojas, honestly.
The first hit of the game was a single, and Josh Rojas steals second immediately. And that was how they started the game offensively. And I was pumped. I was ready to go. I was like, yes, this is D-backs baseball, and I love every minute of it. I don't care if they never hit a home run. If they're going to do things like this and do it this way, let's be honest, like this is just as much fun. I don't feel like we're losing out on anything.
The D-backs PR department is like flooding us with emails as we're doing the show. They're having so much fun, crunching all the numbers on how good this series was for the Diamondbacks.
Thank you for acknowledging that, because I'm trying to factor some of this stuff in. But yeah, we've literally gotten like 5 emails in the last 15 minutes from our friend Alex over at the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it's awesome because again, they are as excited as we are about this, and I mean. 31 runs scored by the D-backs versus the Dodgers in this 4-game series surpasses the 29 runs scored back on May 24th through 26th, 2002 during a 3-game series. So this is the most runs ever scored by a D-backs team in a series against the Dodgers.
That's insane. That's
Jesse,
insane.
and we're just getting started. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Can we pull up the by the numbers graphic one more time? I want to point out something else on the Diamondbacks side that really blows my mind. Derek, the Diamondbacks just took 3 out of 4 for one of the best teams in baseball, and their starting pitching ERA was 6.10. Ryan Nelson was all right today, right? 6 innings, 3 runs. You like what you got there. But if you go game by game, I mean, Zach Davies was honestly kind of a disaster before the oblique issue yesterday. walked in a run. He had one inning in particular where he just completely lost the strike zone through like 11 consecutive balls or something like that. Madison Bumgarner did not pitch well at all either in his outing, even though he was able to limit some damage, as we talked about in that post-game show. And then Merrill Kelly was the D-backs starter in the first game of this series, the one game that they lost. And he was kind of a disaster, as he tends to be against the Dodgers. Those 4 starts, you feel like the caliber of performance he got there is probably you're going to lose 3 out of 4 games. Like maybe you find a way to win one when your starters aren't going. And the D-backs starters as a whole this season, Derek, have been terrible. I mean, let's just be honest here. Like Ryan Nelson had a pretty good outing, and I think his ERA is now slightly below 5 or right around 5 after that. All the other D-backs starters, Zach Davies had one good outing, but one terrible outing. Merrill Kelly has a decent ERA, but he hasn't been able to pitch deep into games at all. Zach Gallen has really struggled both times out. Madison Bumgarner, like the D-backs starting pitching has been absolutely terrible through 10 games. And somehow we're sitting here talking about a baseball team that's 6-4 against 2 of the best teams in the game.
And they did it through offense and bullpen. The 2 things that you could say were arguably huge weaknesses for this team last season.
The bullpen, we always knew the bullpen was going to be good, Derek. That was the one thing.
We always knew that. There was never a question about that. Just like we knew Evan Longoria was going to be one of the best players in Major League Baseball. And we never questioned Geraldo Perdomo ever. But I think it was Elizabeth said, read them to us about our emails that we got. Well, I'm going to. Alex sent us an email that said D-backs infielder Josh Rojas today collected back-to-back 3-hit games for the second time in his career. That's the first email that we got since we started going on air. With today's win, the D-backs won 3 of 4 games from the Dodgers in a series for the first time since August 29th through September 1st, 2019. Folks, it is 2023. That is nearly 4 years since the last time that happened. What Crazy. Else we got here? And then, the next one is the 31 runs scored by the D-backs versus Dodgers in this 4-game series surpasses the 29 runs scored on May 24th through 26th, 2002, during a 3-game series. I don't know if you remember that. Most of you might not have even been born then, so I don't know if you do remember that, but now I just feel old and sad. I don't want to feel that. I'm excited because the Diamondbacks win, and of course, we got to send Jesse out on the road more. That's the key here. Jesse started the season on the road with this team. He seems to be their good luck charm. We need to keep him around. He wasn't there today, but still, it's like they had enough Jesse like fueled up, like kind of stashed in order to get them through. But you need to fuel yourself up. You need to make sure you stash enough goodies and snacks for you to be fueled up all weekend long and all week long. So make sure to stop by our friends at Circle K. Stock up for, of course, your post-Easter madness. You got Polar Pops that we are big fans of around the office, as well as we need all the energy we can get. We need to stay hyped. This team is gonna keep us excited. It's gonna be comeback victory after comeback victory. So we need all the Monster, all the Red Bull we can get. We get those 3 for $8 and 3 for $6 for Monsters over at our friends at Circle K. And make sure you're not missing out on all this great stuff. Head to circlek.com/store locator. That's circlek.com/store-locator to find Circle K's near you. And while you're there, grab some Four Peaks beer. I am drinking a delicious Kilt Lifter to celebrate today's victory, and you should be too. Whatever Four Peaks beer you love, make sure to grab it over at our friends from Four Peaks. Get them at Circle K in their ice cold beer section. You can also go down to the 8th Street Pub, where you will get a wide variety of beers. You also have some NFL draft beer specials if you join us for the NFL draft show that they're going to have down there with our friends Bo and Johnny Venerable. Of course, you can get $3 red beer lager pints and $5 red beer lager pitchers. $2 more for a pitcher. That's a no-brainer right there. So we also have our usual PHNX specials of $3 Kilt Lifters, Bing Bing, and Wow Pints. The best place, of course, to take the NFL draft is on April 27th at Four Peaks 8th Street Pub with us. Register for free in the link in our show notes to take advantage of these beer specials. Make sure you are also 21 or years or older to enjoy these beer specials, and enjoy responsibly. Jesse, we got some probables for the upcoming series with the Brewers, who should not be overlooked because the Milwaukee Brewers have been very good this season. But there's also been some other unexpected teams that we're going to talk about on tomorrow's show that have been very good, including whatever the hell is happening in Tampa Bay. But the D-backs did make a move today.
Yeah, they did a big trade, Derek. Big trade.
Huge.
They I'm assuming
Huge.
this is because Drey Jameson being moved into the rotation. The Diamondbacks wanted to add a little bit more bullpen depth. I guess bringing Peter Solomon up to the majors. I'm guessing they just wanted to add some depth in that regard. So the D-backs acquired Jose Ruiz from the Chicago White Sox in exchange for cash considerations. Ruiz, not the prettiest of numbers over the last few years, but he has pitched a decent amount in the big leagues for the White Sox. Last year, he had a 4.60 ERA and a 1.42 WHIP against the White Sox, or for the White Sox, in 63 appearances. Back in 2021, he had a pretty good year, a 3.05 ERA, 1.17 WHIP that year. So he's been a decent bullpen arm for the White Sox. Good velocity. I think he's maybe had some good luck in the past that has kind of helped him do what he's done this season. Not so great, Derek. The White Sox DFA'd Jose Ruiz after he had as many strikeouts as home runs allowed in 3 2/3 innings. That pretty much tells you what you need to know. But he's not going to be on the big league roster. I don't expect anytime soon. Just kind of a depth move for the D-backs.
And I get that, but I have to ask, do the Diamondbacks not have enough depth in their organization? I say that just because, like, aren't there guys like Justin Martinez and Slade Ciccone that could be getting an opportunity here?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I mean, I think part of it is just, and I've kind of been thinking about this myself, like every time the D-backs make a move with Reno, somebody has to like take their place, you know? Like you can't just like call up these guys and then just be like,
Reno depleted.
Reno will be fine, right? Like they'll be fine.
Figure it out. You guys,
you can have someone from the stands come in,
go
and
down to the college.
Yeah,
you guys have a college in Reno. Can't you go grab some kids from there? I don't know. Figure it out.
Yeah, so it's just about adding depth and making sure that, you know, when you pluck players from certain places that you have guys who are available to step in. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that you'll see Ruiz in the big leagues anytime soon, but it's possible. I mean, it's not like he hasn't had any success whatsoever in the big leagues, or has had a 12 ERA or anything last year. He's actually been pretty decent for them in the past, despite what's happened so far this season.
Well, I believe one of the last shows we did, we were lamenting about how everything was going wrong within the organization, including in the minor leagues. But the Aces were able to beat the Rainiers 19-4. So we back, Jesse. We back.
Yeah, I believe. I think that was Brandon Pfaadt pitched. I think that was yesterday's game. Brandon Pfaadt, 4 2/3 innings, only 1 run allowed. He was pretty good. Good bounce back from him after giving up 4 homers in his first start of the season. Yeah. Not a great way to open the year for him.
He just wasn't super efficient in that one. He only went 4 2/3, and he hit close to 90 pitches. So again, some things. Even though we constantly talk about Brandon Pfaadt being the next coming of Randy Johnson in our lineup, obviously he's still a young man that has some things to work out. And I feel like the Diamondbacks know that within the organization. And that's why we're not seeing them rush things at this point.
Yeah, I don't have a huge problem. I'm curious what you think too about the whole Drey Jameson situation, the Diamondbacks bringing him into the rotation, and not going the route of a Brandon Pfaadt, not going the route of Tommy Henry. My guess is the Diamondbacks are basically like, we don't know what the future holds with Madison Bumgarner. We don't know if someone else is going to get hurt. If we have the opportunity to turn Drey Jameson into a starter, to stretch him out, let's just do it and make sure that we kind of maximize the amount of starting pitching depth in the organization. Because after Drey Jameson, right, you've got Pfaadt, you've got Tommy Henry. I don't think you want to go any deeper into this organization than that. Yeah, I don't think you want to call Blake Walston just yet. So,
but he's getting there too. He's getting there too. Bryce Jarvis is also a name that like had an excellent spring and could be a guy that they bring up pretty quickly, even though I think he's still with the Sod Poodles in Amarillo.
Yeah, he's in Double A.
So I mean, yeah, really, it's just about some of their best pitchers right now still aren't far enough along to do that with. And you might be right. Brandon Pfaadt might just be the guy that they're waiting for in case they need to make a long-term move, and maybe they feel like bringing Drey Jameson into the starting rotation right now is kind of a short-term thing, and then they can move him back to the bullpen. I think Lovullo, like, look, I've heard the words out of Lovullo's mouth. I can only imagine how much Lovullo loves Drey Jameson, because you and I have talked to Torey Lovullo off the record, Jesse, and we know what kind of guy he is. And I can only imagine how much he loves that attitude that Drey Jameson has, because everybody else is very nice. Everybody else is just saying the right things. They're talking to us and they're saying the right things. And I don't know how the conversations go behind closed doors, but Drey Jameson does not hold back on his feelings or what he wants to do, and like, he's just a very, he says what he means, and he's going to pepper in some curse words too, which I'm sure Lovullo's a big fan of. And like, he just has that attitude of give me the fucking ball, right? And that's something that not enough guys have had in Torey's time over the last 2 seasons. It's got to be refreshing to Torey to have someone like Drey in that clubhouse that literally says that when he has to have that tough conversation with Drey about going to the bullpen. He's like, I don't give a shit. Give me the ball. I just want it. And just give me the ball when it matters. I just want to be in big moments. I want to be in big. I want to win ball games for us. And that's not, I mean, as corny as that might sound to some fans because of movies and shit, that's not something people actually say. They kind of want to do whatever the manager or the organization wants. And sometimes they might be a little too hesitant to be that forceful. Drey is not that guy. Drey will tell you exactly what's on his mind. And I think that Torey loves that guy that wants to grab that brass ring, that guy that wants that opportunity and wants to do whatever he can to help this team win games. It's not to say there probably have been other guys with a similar attitude, maybe that didn't deliver, but Drey has been delivering in whatever role he's been asked of so far at a major league level. So, I mean, aside from some poor outings as a starting pitcher during spring, I don't really see that Drey has done anything up to this point to make Lovullo think that he is not absolutely that guy for him right now, right? The only problem is maybe overusage. Maybe doing this might be that move that puts him into not having success, because it's too much inconsistency for a role that usually kind of demands a bit more consistency.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Diamondbacks use Drey Jameson, just given where he's been, the fact that he threw 28 pitches in his last appearance, and it's going to take a little while to get him built back up and everything. But yeah, what I keep going back to for everyone who's kind of concerned that Drey Jameson was, a weapon in the bullpen and you don't really know what you're going to do without him, I hear you, and I do share the concern. Kind of where I've landed on that is, if you've got a really, really good pitcher, right? Say you're talking about Max Scherzer or something like that. Sure. Not saying Drey Jameson is on that level, but just for as an example, if you got Max Scherzer and he's in your bullpen and he's just lights out and you're winning games because Max Scherzer is coming in, shutting the door in big moments in these games, that doesn't mean that you don't want Max Scherzer to be a starter, right? It's just it's that if you have a good pitcher, you want them to throw as many innings as possible. And on paper, that's going to put you in the best spot as an organization. I understand where people are coming from. And yes, we do have to see how this translates for Drey into the rotation. Right. What you just said about his spring training numbers, they weren't great. I do think that in a rotation, I don't think he is a proven commodity just yet. But if he is similar to the guy we've seen in the bullpen, you want more innings out of that guy, even if it means your bullpen not being quite what it was before.
Puts fire in my blood, Jesse. Puts fire in my blood. You know that.
I figured it would.
Let's take a look at the upcoming probables for the next series with the Milwaukee Brewers, who, like I said, have not been too easy to get past. That fucking picture of Wade Miley is objectively hilarious. I'm sorry. That made me laugh right out of the gate. I also, it delights me to think of Wade Miley and Andrew Chafin reuniting at Chase Field this week. That's going to be a fun time. But Miley versus Zach Gallen. We got Corbin Burns in a really tough matchup for Merrill Kelly, but Corbin Burns has not been good so far himself. And then Woodruff versus Bumgarner there in the finale. So I'm not feeling too. I guess I should say I'm not feeling too bad about this series, but again, that's the problem. Is I really feel like Milwaukee is a team that we should not overlook at this point, because they've been very good this season.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you catch the Brewers in a 3-game series and you get both Burns and Woodruff, you're kind of like, oh man, that didn't work out right.
Yeah, hope
I
we
mean,
get
their
Burns from that
rotation.
first game for sure.
Yeah, he hasn't had a great start to the season. Wade Miley has. He threw really well. So it's going to be tough for the D-backs. This is by no means I know after playing the Dodgers and the Padres, we talked about how the Brewers are going to seem like and not a good team at all after what the D-backs have gone through.
No, probably not. Probably
but
not.
yeah,
they've
started pretty hot. The other thing I want to point out, I don't think Bumgarner has been officially named as the D-backs starter for Wednesday. That's kind of how things would line up, but I don't think the D-backs have actually come out and said that yet. And the reason I suspect they haven't is because Drey Jameson last pitched on Friday. So theoretically, Drey Jameson could start on Wednesday and be on a normal starter's amount of rest. So I don't know what their plans are there.
That would essentially move Bumgarner down further in the rotation and give him a little bit more time himself, right?
Yeah, right. Okay. So maybe the D-backs want to give Bumgarner a couple of extra days, start him against the Miami Marlins instead. But yeah, we'll see. I don't think that Wednesday is official yet.
So if I'm correct, then that leads us to Zach Gallen Miami Marlins matchup next Sunday. Is that right? Would that still be on the schedule for that? It would be Ryan Nelson next Saturday.
Yeah, I think you would still be looking at Zach Gallen on Sunday against the Marlins, which is how things lined up before.
I need Zach Gallen to pitch against the Marlins. I need it, Jesse. I have to have that. That's going to get the thing that gets Zach Gallen back on track. Mark my words.
Chisholm, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Jazz Chisholm has had a particularly strong start to this season.
Good.
Let me check this out real quick.
Because I'm sick of looking at his face every time I fire up MLB The Show 2023, if I'm being honest. I don't know what happened. Did Brett Johnson get kicked out of today's game?
He did. Yeah. Brett Johnson was talking. Yeah, he was bragging about it in the Discord, actually. Apparently he irritated Dodgers fans so much that one of the
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know opposing fans held any weight in a stadium like at our stadium, but that's interesting. Brett Johnson's also a habitual line stepper, so I'm not surprised in the least bit about that. But I hope that doesn't happen to you again, Brett. Of course, if it does, you can definitely watch the Arizona Diamondbacks games on Fubo TV as an alternative if you don't have conventional cable. You can stream.
Yeah, make sure you get Fubo TV so that when you're at the game and you get kicked out,
just
in case,
watch it. You have it as a backup. You go out to the parking lot, you watch it in your car. 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You don't have to just watch sports in your car after you get kicked out. You can watch whatever you want. Stream live TV from any device. And you can watch the most Arizona sports for the lowest price. And you can start watching immediately with a 7-day free trial. So watch Arizona Diamondbacks on Valley Sports with Fubo TV. Use the link to sign up for 50% off your first month of Fubo Pro. And also, if you want to go to the game and not get kicked out potentially, use Game Time. We love Game Time. Jesse's favorite app, my favorite app. It's the only place that we buy tickets from anymore these days. So make sure to get down on Game Time. You can save big by procrastinating. And that's what we all want to do. We all want to wait till the last minute, get FOMO, and then go to the game. So you can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. There's a good chance that's going to get you in for free. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed over at Game Time. Jesse, I don't want to stop doing this show. I just want to do a marathon episode where we go 3 hours like it's a draft show or we're doing a watch along. Sans MN says, what do you guys think of Madison Bumgarner so far? Well, I mean, it wasn't a good outing last time. Jesse refuses to let me call it a good outing. But
no, it wasn't.
It wasn't a good outing, but it was encouraging. It was at least trending in the right direction, right? So it remains to be seen. Last year, Madison Bumgarner did this, and then he got on quite a very good stretch for a little bit of time, and that's what we've kind of talked about happening. Look, really what I'm more concerned about at this point is Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly getting back on track. I think that's more key. I think if the Diamondbacks have any hopes to make the playoffs or any hopes in the playoffs, it needs to be those two guys throwing the ball really well. So
Yes.
I want to see them. I want to see them do big things, Jesse.
Yeah, that's a great point. As much as, I mean, these 10 games have been great for the D-backs, right? With a 6-4 start, you're not going to play 600 baseball for long when your number 1 and number 2 starters are just not pitching well, right?
Yeah.
So I think tomorrow is going to be a really big one for Zach Gallen against Wade Miley, who's really a back end starter for the Brewers. That's a game where you feel like you have an advantage in the starting pitching matchup, an advantage you're not going to have in the Tuesday and Wednesday games with Burns and Woodruff going for Milwaukee. So I think that's the biggest key for the D-backs moving forward for sure, is getting those starters back on track. With regard to Bumgarner, no, I will not concede that his Friday start was a good start. Anytime you walk 6 guys and you give up 11 base runners in 4 2/3 innings, Derek, I don't care how many of them scored. I'm not going to be encouraged by that outing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, let's take a look at our schedule this week. That way you guys know where to find us. We are going to have our Mailbag Monday episode on Monday. So join us. Send us Mailbag Monday questions. We'll throw that tweet out there. So make sure to do that. You can also send it to us in the Discord if you are a PHNX diehard. Tuesday, we got a post game. Wednesday, we got a post series. Then we will be back on Thursday to hype up that big series in Miami, and then follow things up on Sunday with a post-series show for Miami. So make sure to join us next Friday. We are out. Well, I am out at Buds-a-Palooza. That's why there's no Friday show, because I'm going to be way too high to do a show. But I will be doing the OG's variety show. So make sure to join us out there. There's some great bands. It's going to be a great time. And if you are what I like to call a marijuana enthusiast, you will have a good time too. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. He will not be at Buds-a-Palooza. I can guarantee you that. Our show is at PHNX D-backs, but of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We love you guys. We love the Arizona Diamondbacks. We appreciate you so much for being here. On behalf of Jesse, Damon, and myself, we always thank you for your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you beat LA. Let's go.